I've often wondered about this problem, misfueling. That's when you fill a diesel car with petrol, or maybe vice versa. What do you do? How much damage does it cause? How often does it happen? Nigel Malcolm is the CEO of Fleet Care. Good afternoon, Nigel.
Good afternoon, Peter.
Well, does this happen a lot?
Too often. Yeah, look, it's a big problem. We're managing 30,000 odd vehicles, and we see it probably half a dozen times a week. But across industry, I think half the businesses in Australia are affected every year by it.
Okay, so diesel into a petrol car or petrol into a diesel car, which one's worse, or is it pretty similar?
Look, the worst one, and the one that happens the most, of course, is petrol into a diesel. The diesel into a petrol doesn't happen as often because the nozzle or the inlet on a petrol vehicle is tapered. It's got the smaller hole. And you might recall that happened when we went from super across to unleaded, and they put the smaller hole there so you couldn't get the two confused. But of course, the problem that we have now is that the diesel hole's much bigger, which will allow the unleaded pipe to go into it, and that's the one that causes the biggest problem.
What does it do to the vehicle itself, and how much does it cost to repair? What do you have to do?
Well, I think it's a little bit akin to you or I drinking Drano. Petrol's a solvent, and essentially, if you start the engine, it upsets the diesel pump, all the seals and all the nozzles. So there's two levels of damage that occur. One is, you realise it before you've started the vehicle, and that you can generally just pump them out and refill with diesel.
Mm-hmm.
The other problem is the moment you turn the ignition on, it's too late. The damage has been caused, and we see damage. The average cost is probably around $1,300, Peter, but we've had costs up to $24,000 to repair a vehicle.
And does it matter how much diesel has been put into the tank? I mean, if you put in, or someone borrows your vehicle and they put $5 in before they realise what's happened, can that make a difference?
That will make a difference. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a lot. Certainly, the more petrol, the worse it is. It's not going to run, and essentially once it's had a bit of a wash through of that solvent, which is what petrol basically is, the damage is caused. I mean, of course, a lot less. When you've got a smaller amount of petrol, but it doesn't take much to cause the damage.
You've come up with a solution, or there is a solution that is out there. It's a misfueling prevention mechanism. Tell us about that.
Well, look. These caps have been around for a while, and Peter, it always amazed me. They're not used that often. You can get them at the Auto Club websites, but they're not purchased a lot. They're not expensive, $70, $100, which compared against the cost of the damage, isn't a lot. But the problem really comes back to the manufacturer here. They've built the car, and they've built it in such a way. To me, it's a design fault. It allows for misfueling to occur, and as I said at the beginning there. We solved this problem when we went from super to unleaded by making a smaller nozzle. So really the manufacturers, they've done it in other countries. We've seen Ford fit it as standard to their vehicles, in the United Kingdom. So I'm just a little bit surprised that the manufacturers here in Australia, that we haven't moved quicker with the problem.
Can't really think of a reason why they wouldn't have, Nigel.
Well, it's surprising, isn't it? And really, at the cost, I don't know what it's costing business. I don't know what it's costing the average motorist. But, we must be talking in the tens of millions.
It's an interesting one. Thanks so much for your time.
A pleasure.
Nigel Malcolm, CEO of Fleet Care. Has this happened to you? Did you accidentally put diesel in the unleaded vehicle, or vice versa, or that is a lot rarer if you have done this, or someone who has? I mean, what sort of damage did it cause to the car? How much did it cost to fix? 922 11882.